Hey guys, as you can probably tell from the image currently on screen, this is definitely a RWBY video. The reason why I'm not on screen is, well, don't forget to take note of the doggone symbol right here. Obviously, I'm using inferior tech to get this video done, so without further ado, let us begin. This video involves one of the most astounding RWBY theories that I have ever created up to date, and quite possibly it is the most devastating in terms of content. Why, you may ask? Well, that is because I have come to realize something so groundbreaking, so mind-blowing, that no one even saw it coming. No one except for those who have read Mercedes Lackey's Valdemar novels, and also who have watched all 4 volumes of RWBY, which are currently out and up and running at the time of this video's creation. I am saying that Montium was inspired by Mercedes Lackey. How is this possible, you may be asking? Well, I will tell you. First of all, we have quite a bit of territory to cover, and I may not be able to cover it all in as much detail as I would like. So, for those of you viewing this video, be sure to share this video to other YouTubers who might be able to expand upon the subject. So, without further ado, I will briefly summarize each piece of evidence, and note some may not be as solid as others. So, let us begin. First of all, the 4 kingdoms of Remnant could be representative as following: the 4 individual peoples in Velgarth. Vacuo could represent the Kalerain. Vale could represent Valdemar. Atlas could represent the Eastern Empire. And Mistral could represent Kars. Salem could very well represent the Black Fire Mage Kiamvir Mar from the Mage Wars, while Ozpin could represent the Mage of Silence Urtho, as the 2 of them are obviously rivals in some fashion. And speaking of the Mage Wars, the Mage Wars could very well be referenced to in the war that occurred 80 years prior to the events in RWBY Volume 1. In fact, the Grimm could very well represent children as well. In fact, Neo, I believe, represents the son of the son of Kars, prior to Kars's newfound alliance with Valdemar. Please refer to RWBY Volumes 2 and 3 for further details on that matter. The four maidens of spring, summer, fall, and winter could very well be a reference to the Kaledian star-eyed goddess, Kaleno, and her four faces. As well as also obviously being a representation of the four seasons themselves. Another reference the Grimm could be making towards Valdemar is changed creatures, such as changelines and the like. The tale of two brothers could very well be pointing towards the star-eyed goddess Kaleno and the sun god of Kars, Vicandus. With Vicandus representing the brother of light, while Kaleno represents the brother of darkness. Symbolically speaking, of course, is in the fact that Vicandus represents day, while Kaleno represents night. The four relics could be indicative of the four intelligent species of creatures who obviously possess sentience aside from humans on Velgarth. The lizard-like butlers slash servants who serve mankind of their own free will, known as the Hertasi, which are possessed of the ability to audibly communicate with humans with nary a problem. The Dihali, which are basically telepathic venison. Kyrie, who are basically felines with the heads of wolves, which also possess telepathy, as well as griffins, which possess the most human-like qualities out of the four creatures. And as a matter of fact, like Remnant, there are a number of tales, be they legend, myth, or tall tale or fairy tale in Velgarth. legends depicting the Mage Wars and the Griffin creator Eartho. One final representation that the Grimm could pose as could very well be the monstrosities such as the basilisks, cold drakes, and chimeras, and not to mention the Wursa from Velgarth. All things considered, the one thing to take note of for this is that not only are there a plethora of references on that end, but there are also references to other things in Mercedes Lackey's works as well, such as semblances representing gifts. A person's semblance is an otherwise non-human ability that directly reflects the user's personality, such as Blake, semblance of shadows, or whatever it happens to be called officially right about now, I forget. Or Ruby's speed, or even Pyro Nikos' polarity. All things considered, there are so many references to Valdemar within the world of Remnant that it is not even something we can just pass on by as mere coincidence. There are too many factors linking the two together. As a result of that, I think that while the two may not be in the same universe, and quite fortunately that is very much the case, as Montium has stated, I suspect that there is but one other thing involved that really just takes the cake. While the world of Remnant doesn't have so many similarities to Valdemar, that there is just no separating the two, I guess we can consider ourselves quite fortunate that that is not the case. But note, this is simply my opinion. Who knows, I could be wrong. All we know is there are a number of references to Mercedes Lackey's works in the world of Remnant. And like I said, some pieces of information can be more easily disproven than others. But as far as this video is concerned, I must give a shout out to both Rooster Teeth and Mercedes Lackey and her partner in crime, Larry Dixon, for making this video possible. As such, I would highly recommend giving Mercedes Lackey's books a try. But other than that, I must say, this is Sal Aragon Manders signing off. Zai Helva.